When shooting the Grand Budapest Hotel, Harvey Keitel slapped Tony Revolori in the face 42 times. That might seem excessive, but it was the number of takes Wes Anderson required before he felt like the actors had gotten it right. The Grand Budapest Hotel won 4 Oscars 10 years ago this winter, so here are some things I bet you never knew about it. The story of the Grand Budapest Hotel starts in 1998 in New York City when up-and-coming filmmaker Wes Anderson first met and befriended artist and illustrator Hugo Guinness. Guinness's work would go on to appear in The Royal Tenenbaums and The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou, and in 2006, the two of them first started to dream up the Grand Budapest Hotel. They first envisioned it as a fragmented tale set in modern-day France and the UK, and they based Ralph Fiennes' character on a mutual friend of theirs, who, according to Anderson, was very liberally perfumed. They wrote an 18-page script and actually filmed a 12-minute version of it in 2007. But then their collaboration was cut short when they couldn't agree on the rest of the story. Guinness ultimately has a story by credit on the final film. Wes Anderson then became obsessed with Austrian novelist Stefan Zweig, who wrote absurdist and fatalist stories set in early 20th century Vienna. So he looked to Zweig and mid-century Hollywood comedies set in Europe as a blueprint for his story. And he later admitted that the film's opening scene is stolen from Zweig's novel Beware of Pity. Anderson then landed on the main character being a hotel concierge, and he got to writing. The whole thing only took him 6 weeks to write. He then sent it to his longtime producers Stephen Rails and Scott Rudin, who got it an independently financed budget of $25 million and a distribution deal at Fox Searchlight. Anderson then reached out to many of his usual collaborators when casting the movie. Ed Norton and Bill Murray immediately said yes after getting the script. Anderson and casting director Douglas Abel then conducted a worldwide search to find Zero. They were initially looking for a young Arabic actor and held auditions in Egypt, Lebanon, Israel, France, England, and the US. But when they couldn't find anyone suitable, they expanded the character's ethnic criteria. After months of searching, they discovered Tony Revolori, who is of Guatemalan descent. This was his first major film role. Grand Budapest Hotel was also the first time Saoirse Ronan ever used her real accent in a movie. She plays a pastry maker in the film, and Wes Anderson insisted she learn how to actually bake the pastries, and Ronan found this task pretty hard. Angela Lansbury was supposed to play Tilda Swinton's character, Madame D, but had to drop out due to scheduling conflicts with a stage production of Driving Miss Daisy. Swinton ended up requiring 5 hours of makeup every day to play the part. Anderson, as he typically does, illustrated the entire movie in animatic storyboards prior to filming. Camera started rolling in January 2013 in Eastern Germany, which stood in for the fictional nation of Zubrauka. They shot primarily on stages at Babelsberg Studio and on location in Gorlitz. And they turned the vacant Gorlitzer Warren House into the Grand Budapest Hotel lobby, using its higher floors for production offices and storage space. They shot the Schloss Lutz estate at Hainwald Manor and Schloss Waldenberg. And they also filmed on location at the Osterstein Castle and in Dresden. Filming in the winter proved difficult as cold temperatures and less daylight disrupted the schedule. And to make things even more challenging, they shot the movie on 35mm film. The film used 3 different aspect ratios throughout to signify different time periods. Anderson used matte paintings and miniature effects to make things look bigger and more elaborate than they really were. The miniatures team built a 1/8 scale forest set, a 1/12 scale observatory, and a 1/18 scale hotel set. Boy with Apple is not a real historic painting. It was invented for the movie, and it took English painter Michael Taylor 4 months to make. Actor Ed Monroe was cast as the model for the painting, and they first photographed him in 50 different costumes before Anderson selected the one that he wanted Taylor to paint. Wes Anderson worked with a local pastry chef in Germany to design the film's signature courtesan au chocolat. Costume designer Milena Canonero handcrafted many of the hero costumes in Gorlitz, and elements of Tilda Swinton and Willem Dafoe's costumes came from Fendi and Prada, respectively. As with most Wes Anderson movies, small details were really important on the film. Ralph Fiennes noticed one day that a notebook he'd been given as a prop didn't have any lines on the paper. He felt that his character was an exacting man who would have lines in his notebook, so the props master replaced the book with one with lines. And according to Jeff Goldblum, Wes Anderson is so specific about the dialogue that he wouldn't let the actor change the word the to an in one of his lines. Of course, it also wouldn't be a Wes Anderson film without some whimsy. All the newspaper headlines visible on screen are descriptive of what's happening in the film, and one of them early on in the movie even spoils the ending. Filming wrapped in March 2013, Anderson hired Alexandre Desplat to compose the score, which was influenced by Russian folk music and centered around the balalaika, a 3-stringed guitar-like instrument with a triangular and hollow wooden body. The movie includes 300 visual effects shots that were added in post, and then it premiered at the Berlin International Film Festival in 2014, where it won the Silver Bear Grand Jury Prize. For the marketing campaign, Searchlight created fake websites about the fictional Zubraucan culture and instructional baking videos on how to make the pastries seen in the film. Searchlight then gave the movie a platformed release, initially putting it in just 4 theaters in the US on March 7th, eventually growing it to about 1,000 screens on March 28th. In its first month in theaters, theaters, it made about $33 million domestic, before going on to make $172 million worldwide total, about 7 times its budget, which was considered a surprise hit at the box office, and it now remains Wes Anderson's highest grossing movie ever. The Grand Budapest Hotel would also sell over 500,000 copies on DVD, grossing approximately another $10 million, and critics really liked the movie. Today, 92% of the 315 reviews assessed by Rotten Tomatoes are positive. Because the film was released so early in the year, it wasn't considered an Oscars favorite, but then many critics put it on their year-end best lists, and Searchlight mounted an aggressive Oscars campaign, which led to 9 Oscar nominations total and 4 wins. It was nominated for Best Picture, Best Director, Best Original Screenplay, Best Cinematography, and Best Film Editing, and it won Best Original Score, Best Production Design, Best Makeup and Hairstyling, and Best Costume Design. It also won 5 BAFTAs, the Golden Globe for Best Musical or Comedy, and a Grammy for Best Score. It was snubbed by the MTV Movie Awards. The movie is considered Wes Anderson's magnum opus by many, and it's been named one of the best movies of the 21st century by BBC and IndieWire. And in 2021, the Writers Guild named it number 25 on its list of the 21st century's greatest screenplays.